walk away with gold at the end of this Asia Cup tournament are going to go head-to-head against each other, and there are battles across the floor. There are so many interesting matchups that we're going to see, and it's not just the fives that start the game, it's 1 through 12 for both these teams that are going to bring it today.
Well, it was one interesting aspect, I guess, to this is that both teams encountered some real resistance from New Zealand in the first halves of their games, but both were able to open it up at the end and pull away for big wins.
Yeah, probably for China, maybe a little bit less convincing so far than Australia, but they've also had really good offensive performances as well. They've shot well percentage-wise. The only issue they've got is their free throw, 62% from that, and they're not really looking after the ball well enough. Not what you'd expect from a Chinese side, almost averaging 20 turnovers a game in the first 2 games. So expect to see maybe a slightly more rigid Chinese team and look for them to protect the ball better than they have so far.
Well, just to show the prestige factor for Zhu Lehman, his team ranked 7th in the world and the 2nd-ranked team in Fiba Asia, behind Australia, who are number 3 in the world. Australia at last year's FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup, making it all the way to the final before they lost to the United States. And as we've grown accustomed to seeing, this is a big, strong, even say quick Australia team that likes to get after on the defensive end, and they really like to just to put the pressure on you for 40 minutes. So they are a team with some newcomers as well, and we expect them to keep getting better as the competition goes along. So we're going to have a pause in the commentary now for the playing of the national anthems of China and Australia.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up for the national anthems. We start with the national anthem of Team China. Please remain standing for the national anthem of Team Australia.
So Sandy Brondello and Zhu Lehman go and shake each other's hands, and I wonder if Michelle Tins is watching this game. She used to be an assistant coach with China. Also, Tom Marr was the head coach, both Australians. And this Chinese team knows they're in for battle, and I would suggest that the Australians do as well. And the referees for today's game taking their customary pre-game position 3.5 minutes before the start. They will be doing the game. Kumagai from Japan, Skayam from Lebanon, and Imran Ali Baig from India on the left there.
And this Chinese roster has shown so far in the first 2 game days that we've had here at the Asia Cup, plenty of talent, and it's across the board as well. It's really difficult to pick out individual players that have shined, but it's hard to look past the likes of Li Yuan, 11.5 points, 4.5 assists. But big game days yesterday for Chen Mingling and Guo Shihan. They had a bit of a battle out to be the high scorer, 21 and 19 points respectively for those two. As for the Australians, again as well, a really talented, deep roster, so much talent, and I think it might be slightly deeper than the Chinese, but we'll have to wait and see. But tough to look past McBeggar in this roster. 16 points, 6 rebounds, and she's had big performances. Also George really dominating the boards. Kayla George, 11.5 rebounds a game. And then O'Hay as well, 13 points per game, 33 rebounds. She had a quiet day yesterday, but a big game on game day 1, 17 points for her. But really difficult in both rosters to pick out, you know, who's going to be the star that shines today, the brightest.
So for China and Australia, a battle of 2-0 teams squaring off. Stakes very high as they try to get to the podium. I think both of them have designs on getting to the top of the podium. Both of them made it to the podium 2 years ago. China thought they might get into the final, but they lost a really tough game to Japan, and then Japan gave Australia their first loss of the tournament after losing to Australia in the first meeting. They beat them in the final to lift the title. Japan are the 3-time defending champions of the FIBA Women's Asia Cup. So we'll see if China are going to build on their campaign so far. Zhu Lehman has been at the helm for a while now, and I mean, you look back at it, and these two teams, obviously Australia starting with a game against the Philippines and a little bit of a tougher game against New Zealand, although they still put them away pretty readily. And China, on the other hand, started out with a tough game against New Zealand, and it was very tough. They only took the lead right at the end of the first half with a couple of threes. And then they played the Philippines yesterday, and I don't know what is better before a big game like this.
I think both teams have come out relatively unscathed in those first 2 games. No injuries, no performance concerns. I think both will be relatively happy. It's just kind of all bets are off in a game like this. You just don't know which way this one's going to go, and it could potentially come back down to just one player, either from Australia or China, taking the game by the scruff of the neck and saying, no, I'm going to dominate this one, and, you know, putting up a big 25-30 point game.
Sandy Brondello, the head coach of Australia. She wasn't here 2 years ago because I think she was still stateside. Here are the starting 5s, in fact. Li Yuan, Wu Tongtong, Xiao Ting, Li Yueru, and Chen Mingling for China. And for Australia, it'll be Jenna O'Hay, Leilani Mitchell, Beck Allen, Ezzie McBeggar, excuse me, and Kayla George. Kayla's picture looked a little smaller there.
Yeah, it made it look like she was a guard. She's certainly not a guard. Expect her to try and dominate the paint today.
They have a slight hold-up for some reason. I don't know. One of the referees is over at the Chinese bench talking. Okay, now they've come out. The Japanese referee was over there talking to the Chinese about something, and now the players run out to shake hands. So it'll be Li Yueru and Ezzie McBeggar jumping center. Good afternoon from Bengaluru, India. China and Australia battling in a 2-0 team square off. And Chen Mingling starts with the early basket after Kayla George missed the opening layup.
And that was just a straight foot race between Chen Mingling and George. And yeah, Chen just got the better of her on that one.
Beck Allen comes out and misses her first jump shot. Trying to have been slow starters in this tournament, but they've come out and taken the early lead. Chen Mingling shot the ball well yesterday. Number 16 sets the pick. Now she gets it from Lee, puts up a 3. And O'Hay collects the long rebound. Beautiful cut to the basket, backdoor, O'Hay.
Wonderful vision from Mitchell. She hardly played any minutes yesterday, but she's really started well there. Beautiful vision, and like you say, a wonderful cut on the back door, perfectly timed by both of them.
Good play, ball goes out of bounds. I've got a question for you. Where's the front door? We always hear about the back door in basketball, but where's the front door? Have you ever thought about that?
I suppose it's straight down the middle of the lane from the top, right?
If
you're sneaking around the back.
You never hear about the front door cut.
No. Maybe,
anyway,
maybe it's your new invention. Maybe that's something you can claim.
Maybe it just doesn't exist. Chen Mingling puts it up off the iron. Now Leilani Mitchell. I know a lot of the good fans back down under are watching this game. Maybe somebody will tweet it to us. Nice shot from Kayla George. Shoots it very well for a post player. Lee posting up on George and goes up for the rebound, is tied up with Jenna O'Hay. But Jenna O'Hay is a tough customer, isn't she? Here's Zhu Lehman also already talking. We talked about this yesterday, how the players on the court are not getting something done, and Zhu turns to his other players and lets him have it. But Jenna O'Hay definitely has been one of the better players for Australia in this tournament. And here she comes, picking up the loose ball and pushing it quickly. Quick basket by Australia and Mitchell, and they've scored 6 straight points. Chen open, says why not, clangs it off the backboard, and
that'll be a relief for Australia, because Chen yesterday was absolutely on fire from outside.
Ezzy McBagger, excuse me, makes it an 8-0 run.
I don't think it'll be long till China call a timeout. If Australia extend this maybe by a couple more scores, I think you're probably going to see a timeout called by Coach Xu.
Well, Chen Mingling was the surprise starter for me. I didn't expect that.
I presume it's just on the back of the 21-point game yesterday.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, she did play well yesterday.
And from a player's point of view, I quite like that. I quite like the fact that you can earn your minutes, and that's obviously what Chen Mingling's done.
Good pass down low, and Zhu Lehman is going to burn an early timeout, and he does not look like a happy coach. Here it again is the look, and George.
Yeah, and the thing you've got is it's not that Australia have taken a lead, it's the fact of how they've taken a lead. They found it so easy to score. You know, it's not, they've not worked hard to get their offense going at all.
Just get back here. And we stunt the stunner and then the split. Stay back. Don't give the three-point shooters the shooters. But look, it's one and done, isn't it? We're rebounding and running. And as I said to you, you could have ran a little faster in that first action. But we're pushing. If you get tired, I'll take you out. Okay? So let's go. Let's go. Execute. 1, 2, 3. Execute. Very humble. Way to run. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job.
And that's first blood drawn for Australia, really. You know, forcing your opponent to, you know, at a similar level to yourself to take a timeout just 3 minutes into the game. That's a real confidence boost for Australia. It's just how do China respond to this timeout now? They've made a couple of changes, probably closer to the starting 5 we'd have expected now, and is that going to make any difference?
Okay, so back to live action. Liu checks in, and that is the player that I want to see on the court. She has been terrific, and she's coming off the bench today and drills a jumper immediately. Much better defense from Xiao Ting, but look at how strong Jenna O'Hay is. Wow, she's impressive.
And it really is just pure upper body strength to barge your way into the key like that. An offensive foul going to be called there.
But that's what, you know, we talked about this in the last game about New Zealand, how they need to get stronger in that upper body, and you see it with Jenna O'Hay. Look at this. She just takes the punishment and goes. And McBagger, Liu again. Positive contribution coming from the bench. She's got that soft touch on offense. I think she's going to have to play a lot of minutes today if China are going to have any success. Good, quick response, reaction there by Beck Allen as they tried to feed Yang.
Yeah, Liu is one of the only veteran players in this Chinese roster, and I think this is one of the big advantages that Australia have. Their average age is 28 years old. Believe it or not, China's average age is just 23 years old in their roster, so not as much experience, and that's going to pay dividends throughout this game for Australia.
Here's Yang, goes baseline. It was sealed, but she hands it off to Lee, and again, at the end of the shot clock, so the violation, Australia get it back. Ellen goes over, and Steph Talbot comes in, as does Katie Ebzery. It doesn't get any easier when Australia makes substitutions for the opposition.
No, interesting to see as well that they take Li Yu off the court and replace her very early on, indeed. And
with Hanju.
Yeah, and the difficulty you've got is how much does that affect confidence for Li going off the court so early?
Well, Li was, without question, one of the standout players at the Fiba Women's Asia Cup as an 18-year-old 2 years ago. And just has not been the same player this year. Quick pass up to Yang. Liu, oh, what a handoff. She's doing it all right now for China, folks. Liu, you got to watch her.
Yeah, she's certainly coming and giving exactly what China needed after that tough start to the game. She seems to have brought a little bit of stability and experience to the floor.
And now Lee reaches up, and the little guard races down the floor ahead of the Opals defense. That's much better from China.
And this is a real interesting point guard battle between Mitchell and Lee.
Oh, Leilani Mitchell just goes right at Lee, who's going to help up the veteran guard. Lee was the key against New Zealand the other night. China were in real trouble until she stepped up and hit those threes and then started making plays. So she's going to go out, and Guo comes in with also, I think it's Wang, number 5. Hanju, you can see she is a skyscraper. And she has affected some shots we've seen in this tournament just by her presence.
I think China will be quite happy that you know, the timeout and the changes that Coach Yu has made have made a difference. They've kind of stemmed the flow a little bit and made it a bit more of an even playing field, and they just need to find their form and maybe take a little bit of control of this game, and you could quickly see them take the lead. But with defense like that,
Abby Bishop, again, one of Australia's best players in this tournament, comes out, and Garvin in her first Asia Cup.
Frustrating because it was a wonderful pass from Ebzery. She cut that baseline wonderfully, and the hook around pass is a difficult skill to master, but she did it perfectly.
Watch the matchup with Bishop and Hanju right now. Bishop isn't giving anything away. But this player, Liu, this time denied by Garvin. Shot clock about to expire. Yang has to put it up and did not get it off in time.
And I like how Bishop is playing defense against Hanju. We haven't seen it. People have almost backed away from her. Whereas I think if you're physical against her, that's going to limit her offensively. You know, she doesn't want to get into a physical fight. She wants to use that height advantage.
I've gained a new appreciation for Abby's game. I mean, she has played strong, physical basketball on both ends of the floor for the Opals. Here's Garvin. And look at that. We saw her three-point shooting yesterday. Today, she's taking it inside. Her dad is here watching her. And 2 shots for China. Foul called on Abby Bishop there. Look at Garvin. I mean, just going right to the rack. Not intimidated at all by the skyscraper Han Zhu.
I have a feeling this is an intentional ploy by Australia. They're not looking for outside shots or even mid-range jumpers. They just want to go straight at the basket as hard as they can, get as close as they can. I don't know whether maybe it's a ploy to draw some fouls or they think they truly have, you know, the advantage over China in the paint.
Well, you know, and you might remember New Zealand went right at them. I mean, they were not, you know, they kind of took that aspect. You would have thought China would have the advantage with all of that size, but it's not necessarily the case. However, here they're going to maintain possession. Wang goes right at Ebzery. Oh, what a beautiful play by Wang.
Yeah, I was about to say, what great defense by Ebzery, but Wang just properly just turned that last time, that last pivot, lost Ebzery, and yeah, great offense.
Bishop back outside to Blitzavs, who's come in. Blitzavs denied. Look at Australia, the Opals, stay with it. Bishop sets the pick. Ebzery looking to make the pass. Over to Bishop and Garvin. Blitzavs sneaks in for the rebound. Ebzery puts it up and in. They're relentless.
And that was great. That was all off some mismatching driven by the initial screens. You know, that happened almost 20 seconds earlier in that play from the score, but it was just off the mismatches, and China never really rotated or recovered from that.
Rebounding numbers early on, pretty even. Han Zhu. And now Wang again, another play from Wang. Well, she's not intimidated in the slightest. But Ebzery continues to attack. And this is where I think, you know, you have the difference with China when you've got some of these experienced players. Now, Wang is one of them. She's played in these tough games, as has Liu, and now they're both out of the game. But that was why I was kind of surprised that Coach Zhu Lehman went with the starting lineup that he did. He's brought in another of the veterans, Gao Song, and he's also brought Li back into the game.
You have the feeling that Li Yeu is his #1 choice big player, and that Han Zhu is the backup to that. But obviously he wanted to make the change early because, yeah, Li wasn't having the best of it.
Yang from the arc, rims out. Li with the rebound. And I think a foul called on Bishop. That'll be #2. Oh, she got locked up with Li. You see their arms. And how do you decide that's on her and not on Li?
Yeah, that's the subjective nature of the officiating there. And the one thing you've got if you're Australia is you're bringing George back in. It's not exactly a downgrade when you're making your change.
Gao Song, it's good. And Sandy Brondello wants to talk it over, so she calls timeout. We'll go down to the bench and listen.
Communication. We're breaking down communication, and then #5's coming in. She only finishes with that right right here.
Yeah.
So she starts going left, keep her there.
Yeah,
Don't
okay.
fall for the up and under. Just wall her up, use your size and length against her here. Look, missing some chippies we should make. Just settle down, slow it down a little bit. We get good action. Now, they're switching in that, they're staying at home a little bit. Just keep dribbling what you did.
Yeah.
Okay, you may have the shot again out here.
Okay.
Okay, look, lady, make sure we're finishing strong here. We're giving them too many open looks.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it comes down to. We're going to play defense and then we're going to run down the other end and keep moving the ball. And one down, if it's not there, we get into the pinch action and we'll get wide open. Here we go now.
天津打的过程中不能摆阵地，该打跟你打找拆，该突破跟球，该打背掩护了，就是接着集中配合，不要停下来故意。好，加油！
So those rebounding numbers helping China immensely in this game.
Yeah, it really is his key. He's brought them back into the game just on crashing the boards hard, and it's interesting to hear Coach Brondello there talking through exactly what she wants the team to do. Very calm and very simple changes that she thinks can change the game.
Also, Sandy said we're missing some chippies. So maybe Australia helping them out in that regard. Here's, oh, double dribble. And she knew it immediately. Ebsbury goes out, as does Steph Talbot, and O'Hay comes back in with Leilani Mitchell. They just come at you in waves from the Opals bench.
Yeah, the Australian rotations are so slick. You know, there's constantly fresh legs coming onto the floor, and yeah, like you say, it's just relentless.
Look at the battle going on with Gao Song and Blitzaz. Oh, beautiful bounce pass, and it's Wang once more. Well, if they're going to play that defense, some of those cuts are going to be there for the Chinese.
Yeah, they are. The higher intensity and the higher up and the more cheating and getting in the passing lanes you want to make, the bigger chance of failure.
Great defense as well by Yang, getting a hand in the face of Blitzaz. But look at the scrap. And then Garvin puts it up and in. I think that was O'Hay. Was it O'Hay or Mitchell that got it? Somebody was on the ground getting the ball for Australia. Wang again. Gosh, she is playing all world. I have never seen her take on the defense the way that she has today.
Yeah, for me, I'm changing up. I'm not leaving Leilani Mitchell guarding her anymore. I don't think that's working. I think you want someone with a slightly longer wingspan to stand in front of her.
Look at the bounce pass to Wang this time, but that last move, this is what really gets me. Look at that. She just goes straight to the basket.
Yeah, and Mitchell herself has actually called as Seacamp's come into the game. She's switched with her, so Seacamp will now pick up Wang.
I just wonder with Wang, she might have a slight quickness advantage. We'll see. Here's Yang. Yang shaking and baking, getting inside. Kayla George now quickly the counterattack from Mitchell. And she goes in to get some contact right at the end, hoping to get a call. But what a thrilling first quarter. I'll tell you what, it hasn't necessarily lived up to the hype this game. It has surpassed it. Australia leading 20-19 at the end of one.
The score is Australia 20, China 19.
And there's your shooting stats from the first quarter, and you can see both teams determined to score their points close to the basket. 9 from 19 for Australia and 9 from 17 for China. Neither team hitting a three yet. And it is going to be, you have a feeling, a battle in the paint that's going to win this one, but it's only going to take someone to light it up from outside. But stars from both sides starting to shine already as well. Garbin and Kayla George both on 4 points for Australia. And then Wang is on 9 points for China, and she's really come out and hit a fine form early here in this game, and it's going to be important. You know, she's come off the bench and she's done a good job so far.
Well, that's the story right there. Wang coming from the bench and bringing the offense and going right at a tough defender in Ebsary and living to tell the tale, and was possibly unlucky not to get to the free throw line as well on that play. I mean, you can't sit back against Australia. The best way to go up against them is to attack them, and that is seems to be the message that Zhu Lehman has given Wang, and she's not coming out of the game. She's going to give as much as she can. Yang also looking better as the game goes on for China. So second quarter underway here at the Fiba Women's Asia Cup. The winner goes straight to the semifinals. The loser will play in the qualification for the semifinals. Ezzy McBeggar in the game and is fouled down low by Xiao Ting.
And I think that's great for Australia. I think that's a great option to look at. If they can get McBeggar backing down Xiao Ting, she's going to draw fouls off, and if not, Xiao Ting's going to have to give her options to relatively high percentage shots.
Seekamp misses. And well, wanted the jump ball possession. So instead they call the foul on Mitchell. A little bit harsh, really. Three-point attempt from Yang, and China have taken the lead. And I'll tell you what, that's no mean feat because Australia playing hard.
Yeah, and that's the first three-pointer from anyone in this game, and as much as they're not looking for it, both these teams could rely on the three-pointer.
O'Hay passes, look at him swing the ball. Seekamp gets swatted. Xiao Ting. Yang puts it on the deck. Shot clock down to 5. They're waiting too long. Wang has to launch it. And really, I guess you got to credit Australia's defense there, not giving away too much. But here was the three, the go-ahead three for Yang, for China. And then the swat by Xiao Ting. Probably the most famous of the China players, played in WNBA. Also has played at Olympics and World Cups. Now a reach and a foul called on Yang. Wu's going to come in, number 6, as well as Lee for China. Both Guo and Yang go out. And here are some instructions from the coaching staff.
I think the officials are just trying to calm the players down. Maybe they're not happy with how physical it's getting, but it's ultimately going to be a physical game. So much at stake, and both these teams like playing physical basketball anyway.
Good defense from China now. Feels kind of like we're in the eye of the hurricane right now. It's gotten really quiet.
It feels exactly like that. You just feel like one of the teams is going to fire up.
Yeah, it's about to go off big time. Mitchell gets it to Jenna O'Hay. Now Mitchell opens up for her, but too hard, and McBeggar was in good position, but didn't time her jump right. Here's Wu, she's going right to the hole. Puts it up and in.
Man, it feels more like China are taking control. At the start of the game, you just felt like it was Australia all the way, and now it's swung fully back to China.
Absolutely. Bounce pass, beautiful cut, and a block is called.
I'm presuming she was inside the restricted area because she seemed like she was set.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, this is, I think, probably what FIBA envisioned when they put Australia and New Zealand in the Asia region to play at these competitions. I mean, you can see it has created a tantalizing matchup.
It really has, and you know, as much as you I appreciate the Oceania situation, and it's important to kind of make the global sports global as possible for the likes of Australia and New Zealand, it's critical that they play this level of competition regularly, and also for Asia to get more and more, you know, top level teams to compete against as often as they can.
Yeah, and I'd say probably more the latter of those, but only time will tell. Lee, the big, showing some range.
Yeah, first 3-point attempt of the tournament and nails it.
Was that a 3 or a 2?
Oh, was it a 2?
I think it was a 2, yeah. Nevertheless.
Show some range, though. Definitely important for bigs to be able to step out and shoot the ball these days.
Well, look at McBeggar, what a catch that was. Goodness.
That really was as well. That was such a difficult pass to hold on to because she was rotating and she was trying to catch the ball. So wonderful body control from McBeggar.
Wow. He looked out of position there. Gal was thinking she was going to have it. See, she's just inside the arc.
It's a nice shot, though. She's not got bad form on the shot.
You know, I mean, it just hasn't really worked for her down low. So maybe that's the answer for her, is just to step out a little bit. Just let the guards go to the basket, because they've been having success. McBeggar played for Australia last year at the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup in Tenerife. Just one of those players I think that any coach in the world would love to have in her team, or his team, whoever is the coach. And she makes the second. Edgery back in, guarding Lee. And now Australia forced the turnover. McBeggar on the break, holds up, gets it back to Beck Allen. And Wu with the rebound, goes down, is fouled by Jenna O'Hay.
I just think they're rushing their shot attempts. They're not, you know, the Australian team that we've seen have been really patient, and that's where the key's been for their offense. They've known that at some point they're going to get that.
I think there was very little, there was minimal contact there on Jenna O'Hay. I mean, she's like, you know, I may have breathed on her, and that was it. Good job by China, though. Here's Lee going behind the back. Wu again, Berg's down low. Oh, she passed herself? Maybe not. Maybe Australia got a hand on it. Now O'Hay, look at her, head up. Big pass to George, bounce pass to Ebsary, doesn't handle it. Here comes Xiao Ting, and we're gonna see that spin move. Is this it? Nope, she's going all the way, and she scores with the left hand.
As soon as she got the ball, only one thing was going to happen. It was in her eye. She was going to the basket. She was going to drive strong. She was going to try and kind of fire up her own game.
Oh, tough pass by O'Hay. I'm not sure what. Trying to get it to Ebsary.
And so early as well. You don't need to make a killer pass with 10 seconds still to go. There's
look
time
at
for stuff to happen.
No defense wants to see that, because she's tough to stop when she's going to the rack. Liu comes back in for China now. I tip my hat to China. I mean, they've really, I knew they were good, but they've surprised me. They've come out here and they have thrown down the gauntlet to Australia here in this first half.
They really have, considering what a slow start they had to the game as well. You know, they were down by 8 almost within the first couple of minutes, and their defense was non-existent. And it's sometimes difficult to get yourself started once the game's already started, but they've done it, and more than done it.
Ebsary attacks much better with a little floater. You got to come out strong against Australia, or they're going to eat you alive. I mean, that's the bottom line. So I think probably China have learned that over the years. Certainly their women's team has. Wang, open, a little bit long, follows up the miss. Who's going to get it? Well, that's why you don't give up. Ball goes off of Beck Allen. This was Ebsary, sweet finish for her. Five-second violation, turns it over. Those are the types of mistakes, really, for China that you simply cannot make. Great defense by Australia, though. And now an offensive foul.
Yeah, it's going to be a legal screen called on McBeggar. She just stepped out rather than staying stationary on the screen, and some mistakes from both sides slipping in now. You know, the level of play is certainly higher than they've experienced in the first 2 games. Let's have a look at the screen from McBeggar and see what she does. Yeah, absolutely. Just keeps moving, makes it impossible to screen to get past.
McBeggar takes a seat. Garbin now back in the game. Liu from the line. Good D. Getting at least a hand in the face there, making your presence known. Don't let her have a wide open jumper. She'll make it. So Liu will take a seat, and Chen Minglum will come back in. And let's see how Minglum plays. It's kind of not that impactful at the beginning. Now Chen O'Hay post up. Wang, and Wang is, she may not be the biggest player out there, but she is not shying away. Look at her, she's got the ball.
Both ends of the floor, she's playing very well.
Gets it to Lee. Terrific finish. That's more like it from Lee.
And that's exactly where Lee wants the ball. She doesn't want to have to take a dribble. She wants to receive the ball high, keep it high, and score.
Edgeworth to Allen. And now the ball goes off of Garbin's hands. Australia not accustomed to being in these types of positions, trailing. And the longer this game goes on like this for China, the more confident they're going to become. O'Hay takes a seat.
Yeah, the Australian body language is telling you a lot at the moment as well. It's not that usual confrontational, high energy, positive body language. It's slightly rolled shoulders and looking down at the moment.
There's Bishop. Terrific D by Abby Bishop. And then it's Garbin getting down on the hardwood. He's tied up, so the possession arrow goes to China. Oh, that was a very short appearance for Chen Minglin as well. As we look at the replay, she goes back out, and Liu comes right back in. Liu to Wang. Up and under. I mean, she's playing like one of the best players in the world right now. I mean,
yeah, she really has. She's got all the tricks. And she's up to double digits now, 11 points for her.
Beck Allen, good drive. Didn't finish though. Now Wang. That's all Wang's been able to do is finish. She hands it off. Here she is again. She's open. Take it. Why not? Oh, she missed everything. I think she's much tougher on the drive. Ebzery, bounce pass, and kind of a little bit of out of sync there with Abby Bishop. Here is Wang again on her latest drive. And here she is with yet another. So she's really made a difference, and Australia calling a timeout here, trailing 32-25 with 3.5 minutes remaining in the first half.
We're matching up, but we don't want to little on number 14. That's not going to help us at all. Okay, down the other end, if we stay on our front foot, we're good. We're trying like this. We're trying to force it in. The post player, they're going to trap every time a poster. Fake it, skip it. Don't even pass it in. Sorry, but it's not over.
哦，再打进去，这样的话，大家内外结合。那个大手，我看一下这个位置，如果没有，你看你换个角度去这儿出去，这一出去会带动人了，就会带动他了，看到没有？好，大家注意要耐心，防守对方我们球权，回来一个54，加油加油加油！
Yeah, And I like what Coach Bondello's talked about there. She's talking about the fact that Australia are doubling pretty much every time the ball goes in the post. So don't even feed the post, it's not open at the moment, but still use it. You know, you throw the fake pass into the post and then skip it, because at the moment it might be the perimeter that bails Australia out. They've shot well so far in the first 2 game days, so maybe that's where they go to.
Here's Wang from the right corner. Well, that's 2 air balls in a row from her. Ebsary thought about getting it to Talbot, but held on. Talbot gets it down low. Garvin not quite able to catch it, surrounded by those both Wang and Lee, but the ball goes off of one of the 2 Chinese.
And you see Coach Montello's frustration straight away, because what she said in the timeout was stop feeding the post. Use it as a distraction and skip the pass across, and straight away they tried to feed the post.
The ball goes out of bounds and back to China. You think China can play at this level for the full 40 minutes?
Yeah, I think they're going to need to if they want to take the win. At the moment, they've really pushed Australia onto the back foot, and it's unusual to see that way for Australia.
Oh, Liu did the right thing. She pump faked and then drove, but then fumbled the ball away. I think this is a good move from Zhu Lehman to bring Gao Song back in. Look at Ebsary. Boy, tough move from her, and she earns a trip to the line.
And I like that Ebsary knows her team are struggling. She's using her experience to understand that maybe she needs to take a little bit of responsibility on her shoulders and try and, you know, be a little bit more artificial, force things to happen on the offensive end for Australia. And getting to the line is a good way to jumpstart your offense. Give her the curse now. She hasn't missed a free throw in the tournament yet, so it's a smart move by Ebsary getting herself to the line.
If Mark is right.
Nope, she has missed one.
Oh, she has missed one?
Yeah, she missed one earlier in this game. She hadn't missed before today's game, though.
That's what you call a delayed commentator's curse.
Yeah.
Well, tough pass, reeled in by Wu. And then she hands it off to the cutting Wang, who is literally at the center of everything China's doing right now.
Yeah, she is, and that's much more her game. You know, we've seen her put up 2 tough air balls from outside. She's much better driving to the basket. That's where she's creating a difference for China.
14 on the shot clock. Quote now, and Wang again scores right at the buzzer. Boy, is she ever successful on her drives. Yeah, 13 points.
Really strong.
Ebsary answers. And a foul.
And again, Ebsary knows. She knows exactly what situation her team are in at the moment. They're struggling offensively. Things aren't going their way. So putting a little bit of pace behind it and direction is a smart move from the veteran.
This was Wang. Yeah, I thought there was contact there, but then seeing the replay, there wasn't, so it's a good no call by the refs.
For me, Bishop needs to rotate and help. They played a zone.
Well, sorry, folks, we lost you just for a second there, but now we're back, and China leading at 37-30. And coming up close to halftime with 1 minute and 11 seconds to go. The winner advances to the semifinals directly. The loser has to go into a qualification for the semifinals.
And for me, the even bigger thing in that is the winner gets a day off. For me, that's the big one. That's the absolute killer, that the winner gets a day off, whereas the loser has to play again tomorrow to earn the right to be in the semi-finals. So that rest day in a tournament like this is absolute worth its weight in gold.
Well, China holding firm. And Allen comes back into the game for Talbot. The Hongzhu goes to the line. This is quite a test for Australia, who were so imperious really yesterday.
You've got to remember, Australia at the moment have got 30 points and we're getting close to the half-time mark. They're averaging 102.5 points in their first 2 games. Don't get me wrong, the level of competition they're going against today is a huge increase, but still, you have to give a hat tip to China to what they've done on the defensive end.
Allen goes right up and scores. Boy, what a strong finish. Took it right at Yang. Good defense from George. Hongzhu, though, and China pass it around and getting it to go with Gao Song.
Yeah, wonderful play by China, real patience, but Allen just turned her brain off on the defensive end for just a split second, and that was enough to open it up for China.
Garbin from behind the arc. How about that?
Wow, this game has really heated up in the closing minute or so of this second quarter. It really has. Both teams starting to fire on the offensive side of things, and Garbin draining a beautiful 3 for the Aussies.
We saw her drill a few yesterday. And this was the last play by China. I mean, just the passing. You have to admire.
如果对方是联防，我似乎可以那谁告诉我，你站在这个位置站，对，大韩在这儿看带动，完了告诉你看，先看他，因为这个方法就这样，你看这个高调是可以的，都不贴身。对，这个人是在这儿呢，你看咱们基本上跟他架身都掉不进去，他不是在这儿呢，他在这儿你传给他没有用，啊。哎，对，不能犯规，对，不管打。
Inside, outside, early help, early recovery. Okay, so it's really strong. Girls. No fouls now. Execute. 1, 2, 3. Execute. You guys.
And I like the timeout from China. They want to get something drawn up and ready to go for the final 21.8 seconds. You imagine it's going to be a pretty dull 15 seconds because they're just going to hold on to the ball, but that final 5 seconds will provide them maybe with a big impetus going into the halftime locker room. They could extend this lead even out to 9 points.
Final 10 seconds, Lee to Gao. Gets it to Hongzhu. Hongzhu backs up. George. Oh, what a finish! China well and truly look like they're coming of age today, folks. Hongzhu guarded by the veteran George. Takes the contact and goes up strong.
Just wonderful. Just old school, big post player move. Just enough of a hook on George. Not too much that she's going to get called for an offensive foul, but just wonderful use of her body, and she's going to get rewarded with a 3-point play.
There's 3.4 seconds left. So Australia time to get the ball up the floor quickly. Here's Ebzeri. Puts it up from midcourt, but that's too hard. Well, what a game. tip your hat to both of these sides. They're playing hard. China playing that a little bit better, and really, no doubt, raising eyebrows back home and down under. They lead at 44-35 against Australia at halftime. So here are the numbers.
Yeah, they're the shooting stats, and neither team doing well from outside, but
look
inside.
at 17 of 23 for China inside the arc.
That's unbelievable when you look at who they're going against. The defensive presence that Australia have in the paint, it just shows exactly how well China are playing. You know, rebounding-wise, it's reasonably even, but it just is that efficiency deep down inside. And it's either back to the basket post plays or even, you know, we've seen Wang, how many cuts to the basket she made and scored. Just a great performance by China in this first 20 minutes. In fact, not the first 20 minutes, because they weren't great in the first 2 or 3 minutes. Really a good 17 minutes from China.
Well, the winner goes straight to the semifinals. The loser will go into the qualification for the semifinals. Why don't we just stick with this here for a while? Remember, Wang, the way she started for China, when she came in, China were on the back foot, and she really changed things, especially offensively for them, by putting the ball on the deck and going hard to the basket. It just seemed to kind of like, you know, it was like contagious.
Yeah, it was. It really almost kick-started the Chinese game just a couple of minutes later than they were supposed to, but they've really reveled in it, and you kind of wonder, what would it be like if Australia hadn't had that good start? What position would we be in now? Potentially 15, 16-point lead for China.
Well, Ebzery, despite having some tough moments, she has defensively, you know, and that was only because of the superlative play of Wang. She's got 10 points. Garbin has been tough. She's got 7 coming off the bench. I mean, that's a bright spot for Australia, one of their newcomers kind of into the program, showing what she's made of. But for China, Gao Song, you know, showing how she Well, it is the play of Wang, who really inspired China in the first half. She's got 13 points, a couple of assists and a rebound, and leading China to a 44-35 lead over Australia. It has been one of the best halves of basketball, honestly, that I've ever seen from China. I mean, going up and really taking on one of the world's best teams, not backing down in the slightest, in the least. And, you know, Australia come out, you mentioned Mark, doing an organized warm-up to get ready for the second half. They've got 10 points and 2 assists from Katie Ebzery, and I suppose really the main thing that's going to happen for Australia, if this is going to turn around, is they're going to pick it up even more on defense and take control of the boards and try to make some shots.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it's the interior that they need to lock down. You know, the Chinese have absolutely dominated inside. They've had 28 points of their 44 coming in the paint. And for me, that's what the Australians will need to do. They'll need to work out, well, how are we going to stop all this action inside the paint? Is it switching to a zone defense? Is it doubling down into the post or doubling across into the post? And I think if they can get their defensive end right, you'll see a little bit more transition offense coming from them. Because at the moment, that part of their game is suffering. And yeah, we'll wait and see, really.
Let's just keep her in front. Shade her right hand, keep her in front, but make sure she... on her back? Yeah, back stay. Okay, just stay. Look, and don't react to her, back, just use your length a little bit here. Shoot in the gaps on the pick and rolls as much as we can here. So let's see if she makes a 3 off the movement here. Okay, look, the one side, the double, the one down, any of those actions. The horns up, going at 14 or 15. Put her in screens.
拼的意思，我就对你比我大，不这样拼，任何机会都没有，不给对方任何机会，任何喘息的机会，他说你想喘口气儿，我告诉你，今天一点都不要给他，希望也不要给他，第三，对方就是3分，快攻，篮板，把这3个给我掐死，什么都没有，加油！加油！小宝、高颂、李源、邵婷、杨丽梅。
For China, it must be just same 20 minutes, please, ladies, is the call from Coach Xu. But you have a feeling you're going to see an awful lot more thrown at China by Australia before the end of today's game. They must have a plan B in their back pocket.
Let's go, let's go.
Well, terrific game of basketball on day 3 of the FIBA Women's Asia Cup right in front of us here in Bengaluru. And China, obviously their men's team hosting the FIBA Basketball World Cup. The 32 team, they just completed that, had a disappointing tournament. And the Chinese women coming out now and trying to raise the spirits of basketball in the country and doing a pretty good job with that first half performance against the Opals. Second half underway. Ezzy McBeggar goes hard to the basket and scores over Gao Song.
And that's exactly what they needed. They need to get those high percentage shots early on, start to get some spark going on the offensive end. But more importantly is this defensive possession now.
Lee tries to feed Gao, but the pass wasn't there. Now Mitchell pulls up on the break, and the ball rattles out. Kayla George able to knock the ball away, but then Lee comes in and makes the steal. Now Lee goes baseline. Lee Wan, the point guard. It's Lee Yueru, the center, who catches the ball. Lee off the front of the iron, but Gao gets to the rebound. Gao puts her head down, has it taken away by Beck Allen.
It's interesting because Australia are running 2 bigs early on, whereas realistically China only running 1.
Well, Beck Allen was trying to feed her teammate, but he wasn't there. Now China attack. Three-point attempt from Yang. A lot of energy here brought by Beck Allen here at the start of the second half, and Ezzy McBeggar hustles down the floor but misses the layup. Nevertheless, A good sign for Australia that they're able to get down and get an opportunity.
But it's off this transition. They've picked the pace up. They're trying to move the ball up the floor an awful lot quicker. And for McBeggar there, that was literally just a mistake on her footwork that cost her the layout.
Lee Ueru going at Kayla George, and Xiao Ting able to get out of it, but the shot clock expires. And both Brondello and Beck Allen asking why a jump ball wasn't called.
But yeah, up to 7 offensive rebounds for now for China. That's the only concern I'd have if I was Australia in this first couple of minutes of the second half. They have given up a couple of offensive boards.
George guarded out on the perimeter by Lee. Long way from the basket here, and now it's Mitchell. Shot clock winding down. Mitchell gets it to George, and she gets swatted by Lee. Not enough time for George to do anything. Had to put it up awkwardly. Look at this.
Just no real chance receiving the ball that low in the paint with that little time to work with. There's no chance George is going to do anything with that. She wants to be set up in the post, back to the basket, let her go to work for a few seconds.
Oh, they feed Lee down low, and she is fouled by Ezzy McBeggar.
Definitely an area of the game that Lee can work on, though. Only shooting 60% prior to today's game from the free throw line. And as she develops and grows in the sport, I imagine the pressure will be put on her to become an even better free throw shooter.
Second one made by Lee. The 9 points is the difference. Mitchell goes in. Oh, throws it up and scores. Tough drive by Leilani Mitchell. I didn't think that one had a chance.
No, really smart play, though. Undersized, when you're undersized and as veteran as she is, she's got 1,000,001 ways to get to the basket.
And foul called on George, so Wu will go to the line for 2 shots.
George really struggling to get herself into today's game on either end of the floor at the moment. She's, you know, still having an impact, but only 4 points and a couple of rebounds to her name in 15 minutes of action. It's not what we were expecting. She's averaging double digits in rebounds per game in the first 2 games, and she's really struggled to get anything going.
First one is good. Still a 9-point advantage after that last trip for China. And again, Mitchell drives in. Well, she's not afraid to go in, is she? Lee up to Wu. Give and go. Puts it up from deep. In and out. George with the rebound. Oh, look at the hustle from Wu. Saw the pass coming from George.
Yeah, Hay was left in that kind of no man's land position of, do I step forward to the ball? Do I wait for it to come to me? She's fortunate to get away with that one, though. Good hustle by Wu. I think she had half a mind that if the ball did get to her before Wu got there, then she had the chance of creating a break.
And now, not sure what is it a clock issue?
Not sure if they're just checking whether the shot clock should have been reset or how much time should be on the shot clock. Not sure 5 seconds should be taken off, but yep, they're going to take it as is. They've only got 3 seconds to advance the ball over the half.
Okay. So Ebsry's back, and that's the only one. She's got to hurry. Lee's on her, and she gets it to Beck Allen, then gets it back. And then Ebsry goes and gets a foul called on Guo.
Yeah, really smart play by Ebsry. She's stepped up. Australia have needed one of their veteran players to step up, and it's plays like that that they'll need in abundance.
We talked about that yesterday with Ebsry. I mean, she could very easily look for her shot a lot more, but she really does kind of pick her moments, doesn't she?
Yeah, she kind of steps back. You can almost see her read the game. Well, what am I needed to do? Am I a glue player right now? Am I a battler, a bruiser, or am I the one that needs to be the finesse? Am I the one that needs to score the points right now? And today, Australia definitely needed to score the points, and she certainly stepped into that role.
Mr. Garbin watching his daughter play and has to be impressed by both teams, really.
Like any Aussie, he won't be happy unless Australia get the win, but he'll be happy with his daughter's performance. 7 points so far. She's put
that
a
was
good
the
shift
Englishman that said that, not
yeah, the Englishman that just lost the Ashes to the Australians. that's the Englishman that spoke.
Good job getting to the line and making the free throws. Back to a 7-point game. Now Hongju finished the first half on a high. Here she is again, and she goes up, and that time George won the battle.
Now that's interesting. Australia are not doubling at all in the low post. Most teams that have run a zone in this tournament so far have run it so they can double down or double across in the low post, but they're quite happy for George to just play straight up defense on Hangzhou, and it worked that time. I'm not sure it's going to work every time, so I'll be interested to see if they do double.
I don't understand why Hangzhou took that approach, took that shot in that way. Anyway, Ezzy McBeggar drives and is fouled by Hangzhou. Boy, McBeggar fearless. Look at this.
And I love that. She's dragged Hangzhou away from the basket and used her superior foot speed. She's got handles, she's got quick feet. Exactly what she should be doing. A really smart play to drag the big Chinese player as far away from her comfort zone as possible.
Zhu doesn't mess around. He takes her out and brings Lee back in. I guess thinking Lee is a better matchup with Ezzy McBeggar.
I still think Lee's going to struggle to match the foot speed of McBeggar. Could be something for Australia to exploit for a few possessions.
Entry pass. Oh, Xiaoting and the spin. Cha-ching. China go back up by 6.
She needs to quickly trademark that move. It really is.
Just call it the Xiaoting spin.
And the trouble you've got is everyone knows it's coming. I could feel you getting ready for it to come, but you just can't stop it. You know, as the Australians just showed then, you know she's going to go for the spin, but tough to defend.
She's probably spinning when she gets out of bed in the morning. That's how much she likes to do it. Tough shot, Jen O'Hay. And the pass stolen by O'Hay. Look at her. Boy, she is tough bringing the ball up the floor, isn't she? And now she's fouled. She is a real warrior on the fast break.
Yeah, perfect word for O'Hay, a warrior. She's playing basketball just full rough and tough right now. And again, she's one of those players that's, you know, what does my team need for me to do? And she's doing that. She's fighting hard on both ends. She was the player that took the shot, and she's the one making the quickest transition defense back.
Who sits down? Here's it from the coach. She's been great, honestly. Both of these teams really bringing it. Ebsry hands it off to Steph Talbot. Talbot turns, has the shot blocked. Lee thought about going all the way, brings it back. Now Gaosong gets it to Lee, and great defense by Garbin. But the ball goes out of bounds. And Ebsry thinking that she did not step out of bounds. Look at this. Look at, well, it was really Ebsry who got the block.
Oh no, I have to agree with her. I think the official called that the ball bounced out on the line, and it didn't. She managed to keep it in. One of those tough calls. But swings and roundabouts in a game of basketball. Some go for you, some go against you. It usually levels out by the end of the 40.
Yao Song, Lee, rebound, puts it up and in.
And this is the thing China have done really well. They've created those mismatches, so Lee on Mitchell in that instance, and executed on them. Australia are creating the mismatches, but not making them pay.
Talbot down the lane, left hand. Quality finish from Steph Talbot. Great offense by Australia. Lee catches it again. She gets McBeggar off her feet. Well, she's holding her own against the rising star of Australian basketball. Look at this. Good pump fake. And starting to see some flashes of the lead that we saw 2 years ago. Meanwhile, Talbot finishing off a beautiful play by Australia. Abby Bishop back in the game. Probably might just give Australia a little bit of an advantage on the interior, although I guess Xiaoting and Gao Song play pretty big as well, along with Lee.
Yeah, they do. For me, it just comes back to those mismatches. China have created them and capitalised, and Australia are creating them, but they don't seem to be able to read and react in-game to them effectively at the moment. And if they can start doing that, then I think they'll start profiting from it.
And Garvin back in as McBeggar goes out. So it is a constant shuffle of the lineup, really, for Australia. Bishop gets it to the point guard.
That's the mismatch. That's great. That's perfect. Exactly what Australia need to do. That's what we were talking about. Create that mismatch and capitalise. Either draw the foul or go to the basket or whatever. But as soon as you get it, the ball has to be almost like a magnet to that mismatch. That's how you're going to make a change in the scoreline.
Lee's coming out as well as Gao Song, and we'll see Wang now come back in with Liu. So it's two heavyweights coming in here for China. Mitchell gets it to Ebzery. Mitchell wide open, long, and then comes up and fouls Wang. She follows the miss.
Now key as we see the foul there that Wang's about to inbound the ball, and she's actually on 3 fouls. She's been such an important player for China. They won't want to picking up a 4th before the end of this quarter. If I'm Australia, I'm tempted to have a couple of possessions and go with it.
Lee turns into Liu. Great position for her, but great defense by Garvin. All she did was put her hands up like she's taught. Watch Garvin's defense here. She did lower a little bit, but nevertheless, she's got good length, doesn't she? Wang. Oh, this time they were ready for it, sure enough. Now Talbot and Ebzery goes in and does a great job of getting the contact with Liu.
It's a smart play once again by Ebzery. I wonder if I ever grow tired of saying that today. I think I've said it quite a few times, but she really is reading the game well. And is that Garvin yet chasing down the block, and perfect timing again.
And I think that's what Brondello was talking about. Was it before the half, or so don't think that she's not going to try that shot. She goes under, and Ebzery meanwhile misses the first free throw. 7-point lead for China. Australia have outscored China 11-9, make it 12-9 in the 3rd quarter. They were down 9 at halftime. Good defense again from behind by Garvin.
I don't know what it is. When Lee posts up, if I'm Coach Brondello, I'm almost tempted to say, try and front maybe. Offer some front and mix it up. Don't just stand behind the post, because if you're going to let a post up pretty much in the restricted area like they are now, it's almost an automatic 2.
Here she is, turns, goes up. Bishop holding her own. Oh, and that's a foul on Ebzery, setting the pick. Saw Wang's head snap back, but Brondello protested.
Do you know what? I actually think it was a good pick. I think the issue you've got is Ebzery didn't stay there long enough. She didn't stay still long enough. She kind of set the pick, took the contact, and then started walking too early.
Oh, Yang took it all the way to the rim and missed the layup.
I think that's a big mistake. That would have helped greatly, putting another 2 on, extending the lead out further.
Great perimeter D by Liu, and now a little mismatch, a hand check by Lee on Mitchell.
And that's perfect, exactly what I'm talking about. We're not just talking about getting a big player being guarded by a little player in the post. We're talking about dragging the likes of Lee way away from her comfort zone, bring her out to the perimeter, make her work those big feet. It's tough for her to guard Mitchell when Mitchell's coming at her.
Well, I don't think you need, if you're Lee, you need to go that far out, to be honest.
No, you don't, because Mitchell's going to be shooting from such a low angle anyway. You could probably give her a meter. You know, you could probably step back a meter, and that should be enough reaction time for you to be able to step across for any drive. But the last thing you want to see is Mitchell shoot a shot over you and hit a 3, and you can imagine what Coach Shu's reaction would be from that.
She makes both free throws, and now it's back to a 4-point game. Australia breathing down China's necks. As we get it over to Liu, and now Australia look to make further inroads, and Garbin runs into Xiao Ting, and the ball goes out of bounds back over to China.
I have a feeling I'm going to misinterpret this, and I'm sure I'll hear from the referees out there. But for me, if there's contact like that, I just feel it's either a charge or it's a blocking foul, because there has been a change in the game. You know, either the Chinese defender has caused issues for the Australian and disadvantaged her, or the Australian has played the Chinese defender. It just feels, unless it's a flop, obviously, and then I can understand that, but you give the flop warning, so yeah, interesting one.
Gao from the right, short. Ball goes off of Han, and suddenly the offense drying up for China.
It really has. The Australians seem to be an awful lot more mobile on the defensive end. They're less static and less strict on their straight-up guarding of each player, and that's really helped change things for Australia.
And that's where Bishop is able to put the ball on the deck and get to the basket. She missed the layup. And Gao Song now goes in. Great defense by Jenna O'Hay.
Absolutely awesome defense. Almost came down with the ball as well. That would have been sublime if she'd been able to hold on to possession. But yeah, wonderful tracking of the cutter and locks her up.
Oh, they make a mistake. Wang catches it, and then waits to be bowled over by Beck Allen, who says you're going to have to earn this one at the line.
Yeah, I think it's a smart play from Beck Allen. No one got hurt, thankfully, but yeah, you're going to have to earn it, that's for sure. With only just over 11 minutes left of what is the biggest game of the tournament so far for both these teams, you are going to have to earn it.
And she hits the front of the rim, and it bounces in. Chen Mingling comes in, so that presents a possible three-point threat for China. Although she hasn't looked comfortable taking it tonight in the first quarter anyway.
No, she's not really had much of a chance, though. She's played under 4 minutes so far and 0 from 2 from outside.
Yang called for a bump on Beck Allen.
There's going to be a third foul on Yang as well, so China's starting to rack up the fouls. 3 players on 3 fouls for China, and only Bishop and McBeggar on 3 fouls for Australia. And that could play into the game. It really could. The physicality of this game is likely to go up in the final quarter and people picking up more fouls, and both teams' depth of bench is going to be tested.
Well, this is the game. The winner goes to the semifinals of the Fiba Women's Asia Cup, and the loser goes into the qualification for the semifinals. The winner gets a day off, and the loser has to play tomorrow. Both free throws good for Beck Allen, so she goes out, and Ebzery comes back in. And once again, it's a 4-point game.
And the winner will face either. I think it's they could potentially face New Zealand again, actually, in the semi-final.
Chao Ting. There's Wang doing it again, this time getting a rebound. And Mitchell reaches in and commits a foul.
It's just a heartbreak foul call to get called against you. 5 seconds was left on the shot clock. They played a perfect defensive possession. Mitchell gets called for the foul. Let's have a look. What is it? A hand check? Yeah. And it's a smart move. That's a really, really smart move by Wu, because she's done the rip through because she knew the hand was going to come across from Mitchell. And as soon as you pull that rip through onto the defender's arms, it's an automatic foul call for the officials.
Wu sinks the first. Chao Ting seems to be taking the back seat right now offensively. Ching chases it in the corner, but Jen O'Hay, whenever she gets it, she pushes it. Gets it to Ebzery, and she goes in for a layup. No! Hongju says, not in my house. And then, inexplicably, Wang just lost the handle and turns it right back over. Well, she's tied up, but this was, I think Ebzery forgot how big Hongju is.
Yeah, she rose up and she thought eventually Hongju's arm would finish, but it just kept going and going and going.
Okay, so possession arrow keeps the ball in the hands of China. About an 8-second differential, the game and shot clock. Wu, shot clock about to expire. She gets swatted. Did she get it off in time? No, she did not. I think she got it right, to be honest. I think the referee, I think it was too late.
Yeah, I think it's the right call, but it's an exceptionally tough call to make. Let's have a look. We're not going to be able to see a clock while she does it, though, are we? No, can't call it from there. Could be a huge play here for Australia, though. 7.7 seconds remaining in the third quarter. They're down by 5. They could finish this third quarter only down by 2, and that would be a hell of a third quarter for them.
Well, Mitchell's got it. She's taking it right at Wang, and Wang blocks it. Good defense by the Chinese guard. And again, Mitchell, well, I'd say that's probably a good no call. China lead at 56-51 over Australia at the end of 3.
And here are your shooting stats from the game so far, and as you can see, it really hasn't been a battle of the perimeters. There's no real shooting going on at all. China are attempting a few threes but not getting much success, and it's all going on inside. But that third quarter for me was all about Australia and defense. They limited China to their lowest scoring quarter of the game, just 12 points for China in that quarter, as Australia just seemed to up the ante on the defensive end. They became an awful lot more mobile and were chasing down things an awful lot harder than they had in the previous 2 quarters. Offensively, still not a huge scoring game for Australia. They only got 16 points of their own, but they reduced the Chinese lead by 4 points. And they've set us up nicely for this final 10 minutes of action, as they only trail by 5 points. This game's really waiting for someone to step up and become the superstar. At the moment for China, it's Wang, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists to a name. And for Australia, it's Ebzery, 13 points, shooting 60% from the field and 65% from the free throw line. She's the one that's taken the veteran role and really led them so far in this game, but so much to play for in the final 10 minutes, and it's going to be the closest game we've had so far. And we were expecting that, the 2 heavyweights going at it, and this could be potentially a warm-up for the eventual final here at the Asia Cup.
You just felt like Australia were about ready to pull even and take the lead, but China were able to stem the flow just a little bit. They got a big play, got to the free throw line. So 10 more riveting minutes on the way, we fully expect. So the ball inbound to Mitchell here at the start of the 4th quarter. Ezzy McBeggar back in the game.
Australia playing a 5-out offense.
Boy, George launches it with 5 seconds left and closely guarded.
I'm not sure 5-out is the right option for Australia at the moment. It's going to be limiting, especially as they're running 2 bigs on the floor.
Not sure Rondello is too enamored with that. Hongzhu saves it in bounds. Nope, she stepped out of bounds.
It seems strange. You'd run 2 bigs in the likes of George and McBeggar, who are great back to the basket players, and then your structure and your form on the offensive end is 5-out. I wouldn't imagine they're going to stay with that for long.
Here's O'Hay. Xiaoting slips. O'Hay puts up the jumper. She's got 6 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and a couple of steals and a block. Not a bad day's work for Jenna O'Hay, filling up the stat sheet.
A busy day's work, as usual, for O'Hay.
Now Wang tries to make the entry pass, and Ebzery sticks her leg out and blocks it. Yeah, actually, O'Hay is the highest rated efficiency player in the game for Australia, plus 16.
And no real surprise as well, you know, on the negative side, she's only got 1 personal foul and 1 turnover in the game. She's shooting a good percent from the field, 60%, and perfect from the line, 2 from 2. So a really efficient game for her.
In fact, she's the highest rated efficiency player in the game, period. So now Lee back in for China. Wu, no look pass to Gao Song. Wow, McBeggar went out, and I guess was lucky that Gao Song missed the layup. Now McBeggar runs the floor well, but loses it out of bounds.
Yeah, for me, that pass was probably a step too late for McBeggar, for her to be able to have the time to control and then explode to the basket. She received the ball just a slight split second too late.
So Liu in along with Wang, Wu, Guo, and Lee. Guo's been quiet today. This would be a perfect time for her to attempt her first shot, perhaps. She really played well yesterday. Here she is. And she finished that game with 19 points against the Philippines. Bounce pass Lee, and Wang gets swatted by Ezzy McBeggar, and the shot clock expires. So great defense by the Opals.
Well, I love that reaction from O'Hay as well, as we see the big block from McBeggar. You know, O'Hay's going back down the court, high-fiving all her teammates, trying to get them pumped and hyped into this game, and just saying, great defense, we made them, you know, turn the ball over on the shot clock. And that's the kind of player you need at these times, people to get you really pumped and really into the game and really positive.
Well, she wants to wear the green and gold, but now the pass intercepted, and it's Wu in the open floor. Beautiful bounce pass to Wang, and she's fouled by Kayla George. So just like the first half, Wang coming out now and making some plays for the Chinese, and no doubt George got her
She did.
On the left arm.
But Wang needs to be careful. She's tried to push away the defender's arm as she's driven to the basket. You're allowed to have a static arm, but you can't extend it and try and fend away the defender before they've come into you. George almost gave her a get out of jail on that one by fouling her so hard.
Opal's looking on from the bench. Interesting reaction seeing that. I think they're just enjoying the competition, really. Wang misses a second. Lee puts the pressure on George. Boy, I've seen some angry reactions from the Chinese. I'm not used to seeing. They desperately want to win this game.
This is a huge win for them psychologically, for them to be able to pick up a win.
Look at that, McBeggar. McBeggar picked up the dribble, and now China come up with a steal. Hope there's going to be a backcourt violation and not get it across in time. And Lee catches it, puts it up and in. And Sandy Brondello calls timeout. Watch this play again. George was appealing for some type of foul. Watch.
Yeah, it's earlier on. It's in the post move. Yeah. Lee was trying to seal her out, and George hit the deck pretty hard, and I think she was just trying to make a point to the officials that Lee is really physical when she's trying to post up. She does use her arms an awful lot to post up, and I think George is just trying to say maybe it's getting a bit too much now.
Make sure, Jenna, you're coming back too. So if it's a dead ball, make sure Jenna's back here and she can be a helper. The 4-man down here, the 5-man can set a step up if they want, or this side if we can, okay? Don't leave them on the island as much as we can here. Now, because they're switching everything, we just got to keep doing things with speed. If we hold the ball, we play into their hands. Now, we've got to slip screens, okay? So we're running one down here when we get it, so run down. Katie, you're here. You're over here. Kayla, you're here. Ezzy, so we're passing. Get on.
我就是变成小宝，看到没有？这时候一没有，他往里重切，带动他，是吧？又打，大家这个耐心啊，明白。
It has not been a thing of beauty from three-point range. You can see that, just 3 3-pointers overall combined for both teams in this game. Just 1 for Australia, 1 of 7, I think it said.
Yeah, I certainly think it's been a battle of the paint. They've both tried to dominate the paint. And it's two ways, obviously driving to the basket strong. We've seen some really strong, tough plays from the backcourt from both teams, but also the bigs. And it seems to be even more so as the game goes on that the bigs are starting to come into it more.
China really putting the pressure, making Australia work to get it across midcourt. McBeggar picks and rolls. Beck Allen to the corner, to George, hits the 3. What a luxury to have a sweet shooting big. That has the deficit. Wang puts it up and answers with a 2. She's the player of the game for China, no doubt.
Oh, she completely different. Wang has turned up today. She really has been on fire pretty much since the opening tip.
Beck Allen drives in, tough shot, and earns a trip to the line.
And that could be a big play if that one's going to be called on Lee, because I think that might be her 4th personal foul. We've still got 6.5 minutes to play, and she really has been impressive again today.
So she'll come out of the game, presumably 11 points, 6 rebounds, 3 steals, a block, but she's got the 4 fouls, and she gives the bow. Very nice of her to do that. She'll take a seat. And Beck Allen sinks the first free throw. So Hangzhou back in. Also, we're going to see Xiao Ting and Yang also come in. We're back to a 3-point game. Certainly, China can't shake Australia. I mean, they've just been whittling it down. They've been here before.
And before the game, I thought it was going to be the other way. I thought Australia would get a lead and then China would fight back and China would refuse to go away. But the tables have certainly been turned on the Australians today.
Yang, is that a shot? Well, the ball fell kindly to Liu, and Jenna O'Hay was going the other way when the whistle blew, and I don't know, I think a foul's called on Beck Allen.
I'm not sure if that was a pass or a shot. But yeah, no, I can see the blocking foul there. That's the right call from the officials. She's inside the restricted area and she's still moving. A double call there.
Kayla George's three-pointer from the right corner cut the deficit to 61-58. 6 minutes remaining. Australia thought they had a stop there, but foul called on Beck Allen.
And the way this is going, it's feeling like overtime might be written all over this game.
Xiaoting to Hangzhou. She gets it to Wu. Nope, she tries to, and Beck Allen playing terrific defense.
Yeah, and you can see the space now that Australia are giving China is just reducing every possession. It seems to be a couple of centimeters closer, and the Chinese are struggling to find the space they need to operate offensively.
Oh, a long three from Wu as the shot clock wound down, and the ball bounced out to Hangzhou, and Liu passes it back out. Now Wang goes behind her back. Oh, she splits the defense and is held by Kayla George. What a play by Wang. Just when I thought she was going to drift to her left, she went right between the two of them, and George.
Yeah, she picks up her fourth as well now. Both, you know, the key bigs for both teams.
Just walked straight over to the bench.
The frustrating thing
Look at this
from that whole play. Yeah, just an easy call for the officials. Wonderful offense. Splitting those defenders creates chaos. But the thing that I find frustrating is Australia played a wonderful phase of defense then, forced China to take a huge long shot, and all the Australian defenders just ran at the basket. Well, if it's a huge long shot, where's the ball going to end up? A huge long way away from the ring. It's not going to be a close rebound.
Oh, the dump to Hangzhou. She goes up, and they're grabbing it, and great swat was Ezzy McBeggar as I think Liu was going for the putback. O'Hay, meanwhile, in typical O'Hay fashion, brings it down and was a little too long. Hangzhou, beautiful pass to the cutter, and Liu doesn't make it. Well, 5 minutes remaining. Look at this.
It's a wonderful cut. The one thing I would say from an Australian perspective, that McBeggar didn't need to jump across. She really didn't. They were doing a great job. O'Hay was doing a great job containing Hangzhou, and McBeggar just should have read that a little bit more, that her teammate didn't need her at that moment and should have stayed true to the middle of the lane, because she'd have been able to stop that cutter.
Could be what her coach is telling her right now, in fact.
But it's difficult. You see the size difference. You want to help your teammate. You know, the urge to come across and double down is a big urge, but you need to be able to read, is your teammate containing her or not? And she was in that instance.
Both free throws made by Liu. Litzavs comes into the game now. She's going to inbound it. So Abby Bishop back in. Beck Allen doesn't hesitate, goes all the way. Boy, what a fantastic drive by Beck Allen.
A wonderful, smart play, because she knows that Lee is on 4 fouls, so she knows Lee is not going to contest her. She's not going to go up to block her. All she's going to do is shepherd her to the basket.
He passes it back out to Wu. And then Wu tries her best imitation of Xiaoting, but is tripped up.
Well, she almost spun herself out of her own shoes then.
Yep. Beck Allen leaves the game. Is that her 5th?
Yeah, picked up her 5th foul, and she's frustrated. She's saying it's not a foul.
No, I tend to agree. I mean, she's...
The only thing I can call her on is her right leg. She's
Okay,
left
you think
her
she
right
left
leg
it out?
in. Yeah, that's the only thing I can say, is that her leg isn't within her cylinder. Her right leg is outside her cylinder, so when the spin comes, Wu is spinning into her leg.
Well, that's a big loss for Australia, because
Yeah,
Beck
massive.
Allen was playing positive and direct. with a lot of confidence, and Wu gets to the line and makes both. And it's back to a 5-point lead. Ebsry back in. And now I think Xiaoting called for a foul. Watch this.
I'm not sure it's on Xiaoting. For me, that one would have been on Wang.
Yeah, I mean, Xiaoting didn't touch anybody.
No, Wang certainly did.
No, it was on Wang. CU. That's what it was. Wang Xiu. 4:25 to go. Into the corner. Oh, and a big three-pointer from Blitzavs.
That is a big time to come on and a big time to make a three like that.
Then Lee loses control when she puts the ball down, being pushed or defended in that low post by Abby Bishop. Wow, Blitzavs. One of the biggest shots of her international career. Look at this.
Perfect timing to get hot from outside. Set for a big 4 minutes and 5 seconds now, just a 2-point ball game, and there's no way I'm going to pick who's winning this one.
Australia just will not go away. China. Oh, they find Lee easy. Oh, and Bishop comes in and makes a great play defensively. Would have put money on Lee making that shot, and now Garvin drives in and ties it up for the Opals. 4-point swing.
If I'm Coach Zhu now, I'd probably taken Lee out of the game because she's not able to play defense. Offensively, great defense there by Bishop, though. Stepped across wonderfully, but you see Lee's defense here. She can't be aggressive because she's got that 4 foul. She's worried about fouling out. I've got to have Hang Zhu as my rim protector because at least she can offer some kind of resistance inside.
Hey, look, make sure you got good handlers here. The tap handle work, sometimes I just want floppy. Okay, and so if they're overplaying, if I get floppy pinch, we're overplaying, come up here, pass it, we know we're going to backdoor. Okay? One stop. Here we go.
Well, for me, it's this stage of the game that coaches earn every penny they're paid, because it's the little differences, the little information, the tidbits that they give, and the details that they get across for their players that potentially can win and lose games. And yeah, you could hear exactly Coach Bondello in her prime, absolutely loving these kind of situations and delivering a rousing timeout.
Loving it, especially now that she's tied the game. That Australia have tied it. Xiaoting, the spin. Nope, yep. She has to spin. She misses Lee, comes in, gets blocked again by Bishop. And twice now, Bishop has been terrific. But I think they've called a foul on Blitzavs.
See, Lee needs to be careful there. If I was her, I'd have been like, fine, take the ball. The whistle's blown, I'm going to let go of the ball, because the last thing Lee needs to do is foul out of the game in a situation like that where she's just holding on to the ball to prove a point.
Ooh. And certainly Lee, yeah, the foul was indeed on Blitzavs. She did definitely clang into Bishop as she went in to attempt the shot. Anyway, she puts China back on top by 2. Mitchell back in. And now foul on Xiaoting. That's the 3rd team foul on China, so not necessarily a bad foul. I wonder why we saw the Bishop 4 fouls. The other foul was on Blitzavs. Blitzavs again. Oh, no, it doesn't go down this time. Unlucky. O'Hay gets it to Garvin, and she can't quite catch it in the corner.
But I like this Australian offense. They're playing 5 out now with 5 players that can shoot the ball. So you could see Lee's panic then when Blitzav's got the ball on the perimeter. Oh, so unlucky for it not to go. And you see the reaction from the bench as well.
I mean, it rattled, then it bounced on the rim, and it stayed out. Lee. Into Lee. And Abby Bishop called for the foul, the contact. Four fouls on Abby Bishop.
Say again, if I'm Australia, I'm tempted to front Lee just for a couple of possessions, because I have a feeling Lee might get frustrated if you front her and might end up fouling you, and that would be at 5th. I don't think I'd settle with just playing, you know, straightforward post defense, because Lee's strength and power is probably going to be a bit too much for the majority of these Australian players.
I thought they had called that foul for the body, but no, they must have called it saying she got her on the arm. Lee had previously made 2 free throws in a row. Now she makes 1 of 2 and pushes it back to a 3-point lead. I'll tell you, one of the top FIBA Women's Asia Cup games certainly I've ever seen. That includes 2 years ago, the great Japan-Australia game. Here it is, Blitzavs turning into the heroine here. All 5 of her points have come in clutch time.
And isn't it wonderful? She's hardly played any time this game, but when she's needed and called upon, she's come in and stepped up big time.
Well, she's played her best basketball in this tournament the last couple of minutes. China feeling the pressure. Wang or Wood unsuccessful against Bishop. It's a tough shot, you know. Bishop doesn't give away anything inside, that's for sure.
Won't be surprised if we see McBeggar come back into the game soon. Bishop is starting to blow a little.
I don't know. Blitzavs is certainly getting it done. She makes the pass to Bishop. Oh, you mean as a replacement for Bishop?
Yeah.
Mitchell. Shot clock down to 7. Bishop's going to launch a 3. Probably not what Australia are looking for there. Galsong on the baseline. And Mitchell gets it back and is fouled by Galsong. That is number 4 on China. Team foul number 4. So no free throws. Everything else will send him to the line the rest of the way.
I like that change from Coach Pondello as well. Ebseri coming into the game. She's had a hell of a game so far. And she's come on the court fresh with just 1:45 to play.
13 points, 3 assists. Here she is going right to the basket and tried to take on Galsong unsuccessfully. Wang to Gao. Now to Lee, back outside to Galsong. That's short. Galsong is struggling to hit her shot. She's well short. So Liu is going to come back in.
Yeah, as expected, McBeggar's come back in, but it's not for Bishop, it's for Garbin. I don't mind that, though. That's quite a tough front court pairing for Australia to potentially close this game out with now.
They got 2 low post players with McBeggar and Bishop. And also Blitzavs out there on the perimeter. Ebseri! Oh, he can't get it. She can't get it to go. But McBeggar battles for the rebound. Look at her. She gets it. Now Blitzavs from the left corner. This time. And the jump ball is called.
That looked like a foul from where I was. Fair way away, though, to be fair, where we are in our commentary position. Couldn't get much further around the court.
Well, I think Australia were perhaps a tad unlucky not to get one of those earlier in the game. So this thing's even out. And now we got a timeout.
没有，注意1号位没有，马上传到正面。你看这1号位给的谁呀？输了，看见没有？看一下啊，对，拉出来，这球给他了，对吗？马上也要下一个机会。然后这个时候注意，小宝你再注意这个球转到这儿，再打小宝，然后让他擦，或者是这个球接到机会要投出。杀场对方。
Stunting without, but don't lose sight of your man going back door. Okay, make sure you've got the stunning activity, especially on 5 all the drivers, the 6 and all that kind of stuff. Okay, if it's a middle pick and roll, make sure we're going under and next crowd it. You soft hedge it, corral it, but don't overhelp. Make sure we're loading it up behind the ball.
And box and rebound. It's one and done.
We've got 2 timeouts left. If we have it, let's go. Execute. 1, 2, 3, execute.
Well, it comes down to this, 106 remaining in the game. And China had possession after being tied up at the other end. They had the possession arrow. Leading by 1, China. The winner advances to the semifinals. The loser goes into the qualification for the semifinals. Xiaoting takes on Jin Oh-hae, and Jin Oh-hae didn't give anything away. She knew the spin was coming, just like you and I did. Now Ebseri in the final minute, and she's called for carrying the ball. It's a problem that she's had in her career.
Well, you know what? She was caught in 2 minds. That was the problem. She was about to pick a dribble up and pass it to Mukbega just as Mukbega turned away from her. So she kind of went up and stumbled across to carry on a dribble, and oh, that's a heartbreaker of a turnover at this point of the game.
Coming up on the 30-second mark in the game. So a break for China. They get it back. Liu, her pass down to Lee, knocked away by Bishop. Now Mitchell, open floor. Remember, both teams over the limit. Any foul sends the other team to the line. Ebseri into the paint, back outside to Mitchell. And Mitchell drives in. Pasiopos in front with a minute to go.
That is an ice-cold play from Leilani Mitchell. Unbelievable to have that much mindset to take it to the basket and just pure calm.
Excuse me, I should say with 9.8 seconds to go. Here it is again. Mitchell goes right past Xiaoting. And nobody there to swat the shot away. I mean, Lee was there, but I guess
she's still got the mindset of having 4 fouls. There's 10 seconds left in the game. For me, Lee has to clatter Leilani Mitchell, literally
make
anything.
Her go to the line.
Yeah, earn your points.
Yeah.
Earn your points. You can't give up the points at this point in the game.
Even if you foul out.
What are you waiting for? What are you saving your 5th foul for?
少廷打这个。
不是我给他，我不应该保证这个人出过吗？我是传完出包他。
Switch high. Now remember, switch high. It makes me go under. We don't get a foul to get a thing. And then block if we can.
You also have to really, again, one of the players of the game, Jin Oh-hae, her defense on Xiaoting was out of the top drawer. I mean, she didn't bite, did she?
No, not at all. Just a physical defense, but it was all in the feet. Just perfect footwork to cope with the spin move. Like you say, everyone knew it was coming, but it takes a special defender to be able to stop it.
China, they will advance the ball after the made shot. So, in fact, it's 10.6 seconds still on the clock. Will they try to get it to Lee inside? Will Wang perhaps get the last shot? She's been probably their star player today. Well, Xiaoting has it, shakes and bakes, spins, puts it up! Xiaoting with the spin! She spun the other way this time. She put us all in a spin.
That's a huge play, and huge points in huge games require big players, and look at the spin. Mukbega just left on the back foot. She came across to try and help. She knew she didn't want to foul. She didn't want to send it to the line, but maybe she should have, because Xiaoting is deadly on that spin move.
Well, it's just like you said at the other end. Use the foul. Make her earn it at the stripe.
Yeah, I think she probably would have been in a better place to foul, but they've still got time. 5.9 seconds. They're only down by a point. For me, it's in their hands.
You're going to pass it here, and you're going to have to look to cut and play out of it, okay? We've still got a lot of time. 6 minutes, 6 seconds is a long time.
不要犯规啊！
然后说话，防守都对手都说话。
哎，换，不要说，所有的换人，换人以后防突他的那个人，注意那个一字不传，让多传，因为多传时间就到剩5秒了，让多传，不让直接上来，懂了吗？
小心反口球。
我停了停，朱找你说你手往外抖，别啊！不要犯规。
Oh, interesting change for China. They're bringing Han Shu into the game as their rim protector. I like that. I like that as a play. Is she going to be warming up to game pace, though? If they can get her isolated on the perimeter within these first couple of seconds, that could cause problems for China, but I like it. It's an interesting curveball from Coach Zhu.
Will they attack the rim? Will they take it? Oh, she inbounds it, gets it back. Bounce pass, taken away by Wang. China are going to win the game. What a great win. Australia had a good play drawn up, but it came down to a terrific defensive play, and I think it was Wang who made the steal. How appropriate. She was unreal tonight. Here it is again, watch. O'Hay inbounded it, and then Wang prevented Ebsuri from getting the layup. And look at the smiles on the faces of the Chinese. They have won to go straight to the semifinals. Australia now have to go to the qualification for the semifinals. China win it 70-69. Well, Mark, all I can say is no problem. Australia, you know what? You just have to win one more game.
Yeah, that's the big thing, isn't it? That's ultimately the thing, and that's the thing they're going to be kicking themselves. I don't think they consider that they're not going to make the semi-finals. I think they're probably frustrated because they've given the upper hand to China now as well, and also it means they don't get a rest day. China will now take this well-earned, very well-earned rest day, and it will really help them at a later stage of this tournament.
Yeah, and as you look at the stats, I mean, this was a game that was won in the trenches. It was won with defense, just terrific grit, really, from both teams. I mean, you hate to see a team lose, but China did a great job on the boards. Look at that. They had 19 offensive rebounds tonight.
And that really hurt Australia. Giving that many second chance opportunities to China really, really hurt Australia. But you have to look at Australia, 10 blocks against what is an impressive Chinese side. Very, very good form.
Wang was terrific. 18 points, the majority of her damage coming in the first half offensively. Lee had the 9 rebounds. She couldn't be quite as aggressive when she got into foul trouble. I mean, O'Hay was really just a real standout, as was Blitzabs with those clutch shots late in the game. I mean, Ebsuri, everybody. I mean, this is one of those games where really you had a team win it. You know, both teams deserve to win. And China just made one more play at the end, and it was on defense to get the win.
Yeah, they really did. After the first couple of minutes of that first quarter, we were thinking, oh no, there might be a blowout coming here, because Australia just came out of the blocks so quickly and took China by surprise. But we've seen China start slowly in games before, and they warmed up pretty quickly, though, and obviously had the lead at the half. And the Australians did their absolute best to come into the second half. Their defense went up. I mean, it wasn't a couple of gears. It literally went from first to sixth gear almost on the defensive end for Australia. But in the end, it wasn't enough. And in the end, it was actually the defense of China that was to win them the game. And it really was fitting, you're right, that it was Wang to get that big play at the end of the game. 18 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal and a block to a name, just absolutely covering the box score. And yeah, what a wonderful performance from her.
Well, this is the FIBA Women's Asia Cup, folks. This is really, this arena has hosted some incredible games. And don't tell Australia about it, because they've been on the losing end of a couple of thrillers. They lost to Japan in the final here 2 years ago, and tonight they've just lost an absolute thriller to China. You know, the good thing is for Australia is they can, you know, if it doesn't kill you, and it hasn't, it makes you stronger, and they can come back and get ready. Go ahead, they'll be favored to win, no doubt, whoever they play in the qualification for the semifinal. And then you just move on.
Yeah, they will. Australia will obviously go heavy favourites into that kind of qualification for the semi-final game that they'll now face. But it's a game that they could have done without and a game they'll have wanted to avoid. So realistically for them, they're now going to take on either Chinese Taipei or India tomorrow. And again, like you say, absolutely massively heavy favourites for that game. But it was a game they probably wanted to avoid and they would have rather had a day's rest. But the day's rest has been well earned by a very impressive Chinese team.
Well, I'm not sure anything's going to live up to that again, that's for sure. But totally, total respect for both teams today. I mean, that was a wonderful basketball game, and that Blitzhab's reverse layup. We just saw previously that her three-pointer that was clutch from the corner as well. Leilani Mitchell, you know, it looked for a moment like maybe Australia had gone ahead and won the game when she hit that shot. But here was Xiao Ting with the offensive play of the game, no doubt about it. The spin move into the lane. You know the spin is coming, but it seemed like she spun the other way. And then Wang snuck in there and got the steal.
Wonderful celebrations from the Chinese as well. Just shows how much this Asia Cup means to these players. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you know what, they have been on the receiving end, but tonight they came out and they really got the job done. So 2 games in the book. Next coming up will be Japan, Korea. That should be another classic. And then we'll finish things up with Chinese Taipei and host India. These are the Group B standings after that game. China clinched first place in Group B at 3-0. Australia at 2-1 and New Zealand at 1-2. So those New Zealand and Australia advanced to the qualifications to the quarterfinals. Philippines are out. Thanks for watching. More basketball coming your way.